Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. So, we're about 2 months away from Sonic 3 now, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting more and more impatient as the release gets closer. Man, y'all have no idea how hyped I am for this movie. Given all the hard work and fan appreciation both Sega and Paramount have done, I'd love for this movie to be extremely successful.
This is where the fun begins.
But as the title of the video suggests, it's got some stiff competition. If you didn't know already, Disney's Mufasa releases on the same day as Sonic 3. Now, technically speaking, there's no reason why both can't be successful. I mean, just look at Barbenheimer. But the key difference is that Sonic 3 and Mufasa share a similar demographic, that being families. Now, I'll give my personal thoughts later in the video, and yes, I have a clear bias for which I want to succeed, but first, let's look at some numbers to see what each player's stats are going into the movie. Now, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how these box office projections work, and of course, you should take these with a grain of salt because I'm sure there are a lot of unknown factors involved with predicting how well a movie will do. That said, we can use these projections to get a feel for how the general audience probably feels towards these films. Starting off with Sonic,
my turn.
IMDb projects that the Blue Blur will earn $580 million at the global box office. For Sonic fans, that might seem a bit low, but statistically it does make sense. Sonic 1 earned $319 million and Sonic 2 earned $405 million. So under normal circumstances, it would make sense why Sonic 3 would make $580 million. However, it's hard to tell if the hype for this movie is accounted for in this number. People have been dying to see this film, myself included. If the movie will hold an emotional punch like the trailer suggests, that word of mouth might drive the box office up. So this number is potentially a bit low, though keep in mind Sonic is still a generally niche IP. Which brings us to our second contender, Mufasa.
There will be one Lion King.
Now, this movie is kind of a wild card because on the one hand, it's received plenty of criticism, which I'll go into later. But on the other hand, the 2019 remake made $1.6 billion.
Hello, I like money.
Yeah, so as much as many in the creative space hate it, that movie swept at the box office. And it's because it's based on one of Disney's best films. Currently, IMDb projects Mufasa will make $820 million worldwide. Now, this is a weird number. Obviously, that is still a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But if Mufasa were to earn this much, that would mean it earned half of what the original made. Maybe Disney's fine with that number, but from a metrics point of view, that isn't a great look. It doesn't seem like there's that much hype for this film, but again, I'll talk about that later. Of course, these projections could theoretically drop if the studios or actors say something extremely stupid. Not that that's happened recently or anything.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too.
But let's assume no major controversies happen between now and December 20th. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there is a chance both of these earn their respective amounts, especially given the holiday season. But I have a feeling one will dominate the other. Maybe families will want to see both movies next to each other, but let's keep it $1.50. With inflation and people spending lots on presents, do they really want to spend more money for two movies? Before we move on to the potential winner, let's talk about what exactly is considered a win in this scenario. Now, it's very possible this competition ends in a tie, even if they eat up each other's profits. The reason for this is because the movies have very different budgets. Let's look at the numbers. Sonic 1 had a budget of approximately $90 million. Sonic 2 increased a little with about a $110 million budget. Sonic 3 is predicted to have $130 million to work with. The 2019 Lion King remake had a budget of approximately $250 million. Mufasa's budget will likely be very similar, potentially a little higher. That's a $100 million difference between Mufasa and Sonic. A rule of thumb is that in order for a movie to break even, it has to make double its budget. as that number doesn't account for the film's marketing or the theater's cuts. So if the films make their current projections or even a little below it, this battle will come to a tie. Because in order to make a profit, Sonic 3 has to earn at least $260 million, whereas Mufasa has to earn at least $500 million. Of course, these budgets are just estimates based on what the previous movies had, and the real ones probably won't be released for a while. But this is a good ballpark for what these movies need to earn to get their money back. And it's entirely possible this will end in a draw. But come on, a tie is such a safe answer. We want a winner, someone to root for. We want war. In the event one sweeps the other, who's gonna win that battle? If I had to place a bet, I'm picking Sonic 3. Okay, now obviously I have to state my bias of being a huge Sonic fan. I've also been boycotting these live action Disney remakes because I really don't like them, like conceptually. But I think there are some valid reasons why I think Sonic 3 has an edge over Mufasa. So, first off, Sonic has a much easier job than Mufasa. As I stated earlier, it only has to make $260 million to break even. Mufasa's entire budget is what Sonic 3 needs to be profitable. That's crazy, dude. The Lion King prequel needs to make at least $500 million to be profitable. In today's movie market, that's kind of a huge obstacle in the film's path. On top of that, Sonic 3 has been building up hype for 2 years, ever since that post-credit scene in Sonic 2. Sega has also been doing a great job with their marketing campaign. They've deemed this the Year of Shadow, and they've been putting up tons of Shadow-related content like the Dark Beginnings animated series, the announcement where Sonic is getting a crossover with DC, posting fan art on their channel, and most importantly, Shadow and Sonic Generations, which has been getting amazing reviews. You've got the benefit of both older fans pumped to see this movie and that family demographic I mentioned earlier. Good marketing goes a really long way to making your film successful, and I think people forget that. Sonic definitely has that underdog factor going for it too. It would be crazy if Sonic beat a Disney movie at the box office. Now, from a financial perspective, I get why Disney would make a movie related to the 2019 remake. I mean, why wouldn't they? The first one made more than $1 billion. Who's to say Mufasa wouldn't make any less?
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money!
The thing is though, a lot of people, especially in the creative space, really don't like this push by Disney to make all their animated features live action. And in this particular case, I use the term live action lightly. It's kind of a slap to the face because it's almost like saying, oh, animation wasn't good enough, so we had to make it realistic. With so many remakes though, the mindset of disliking these live action movies has kind of spilled over to some in the general audience. For these Lion King movies in particular, it makes even less sense because you're completely draining all the color and emotions the original film had. So now it just looks like a National Geographic documentary.
Mufasa, I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Now, I asked you guys at a poll recently which of the two you were more excited to see. As of the recording of this video, 1,200 people voted, and a whopping 96% voted for Sonic 3. Dude, Mufasa got cooked here. I really like this comment from Literally a Tree who said, I don't follow Sonic lore, but I'd rather be watching that than Mufasa. I haven't heard that roast before. It's pretty funny. Thank you to everyone who voted and commented on the poll. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if Mufasa ends up being pretty profitable. Again, the 2019 remake made $1.6 billion, which is $1.6 billion more than it should have made.
Curses! It's not fair! Krabs is being interviewed by Purge Perkins and I've never even had one customer!
Nostalgia really worked for that first film. It's hard to tell if that'll work this time around, but let's just say I wouldn't be too surprised if the movie does really well, or if it completely bombs. Now, obviously I want Sonic 3 to win. As a lifelong Sonic fan, it would be absolutely crazy to see a somewhat niche IP beat Disney at the box office. Now, the fan in me really wants this movie to cross the $1 billion marker. Is that realistic? I don't know. Probably not. It would just be really cool to see if that happened. Ever since I was little, I always dreamed of seeing Sonic on the big screen. And not only have we gotten a trilogy, but we're potentially going to have one of the best Sonic experiences with this third installment. As I stated earlier, I've also refused to see any of Disney's live action remakes. I mean, I saw some of the first few ones like The Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast, but let's be real. These movies have completely disrespected the work that's come before because the claim is that, oh, these are much more mature and realistic. Why? Because they're in live action? That's such a stupid argument in my opinion. If Deadpool and Wolverine was animated, would people have taken it as seriously? I highly doubt it. No disrespect to Deadpool or anything, I love that movie. But in comparison to something like The Wild Robot, one of the most beautifully complex movies I've ever seen, Deadpool and Wolverine feels awfully childish. The thing is, I'm actually interested in seeing Mufasa's backstory. Something about his relationship with Scar has always intrigued me. It'd be really cool to see how one of Disney's best villains became the way they are. I'd love for it to be traditionally animated. Heck, I'd even take a 3D version like Disney's modern style. But no, for some reason they decided to go for this hyper-realistic look to be more serious. This Uncanny Valley look has completely turned me off from watching it. I feel like this reminds me of another movie.
Now put that thing back where it came from, or so help me!
So, yes, out of my love for Sonic, I want it to win. It would be awesome to see one of my favorite franchises get the recognition it deserves. But more than that, it's my love for Disney and animation that I want to see Mufasa fail. I want to go back to the days when Disney was constantly telling great stories through their features, not just getting lucky every once in a while. Not just using nostalgia bait to get some extra bucks. It's nice Mufasa's an original story, but it could have been so much better. Imagine if we had all the colors and emotions of the original Lion King in this prequel. We could have gotten an amazing film, an amazing story. But instead, we're left with this. What are your thoughts on this though? Which movie do you think will win at the box office? And which one are you going to see first? Let me know down in the comments. Also, thank you to everyone who supported me with my Book of Life video. I was not expecting that video to do that well, so thank you all. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.